Thank you, Dave, for that introduction again. Once again, we're casters. I'm Kaysaya. With me is Excondril, and we are on a 1-1 score between Bigetron Infinity and DR Esports. And as expected, looks like Bigetron Infinity doesn't want to give away that Lulu steal for that Lulu Jinx combo to happen onto the side of DR Esports. But yeah, the Olaf ban is in here. What do you say about this Olaf ban as well as the Prio picks that we've got for both teams so far?
Olaf's super strong in Baron and jungle, so it makes sense. And again, like you said, denying the Jinx Lulu combination is really good as well. Really impressed with DR in the previous game. I know I was a little harsh on Bigetron, but like that one play did kind of ruin the game for them. And I actually, me and Dave were talking about it, and Dave's right in saying that the Brawl Graves combination is super strong. Like I can understand from a set play perspective why you do it, but they weren't looking at the Corki. Didn't see how far Corki had shoved the Malphite in, and obviously they got charmed in between those two towers, which meant that Braum took too much damage. So it just wasn't the correct play to make. I was very harsh on it because I'd never seen anything like it before. But you know, from a set play perspective, I think it can probably work. I think Bigetron are like much better than we saw last game, so I'm expecting this game to be super close. I think that, they're probably gonna play it safe for the third game as well, like no crazy invades. So I'm expecting a bit more of a standard set out for this game.
Yeah, well, they're kind of dominant on game 1. Their draft's looking so good in game 2 as well, and I'm pretty sure that they can do good as well here in game 3. But of course, not to question DR Esports' capability on doing what they can do as well, they still got some power picks available on their lineup. We've got an Aurelion Soul, they got a Braum in their lineup. We don't see a lot of a Draven, but Draven kind of hurts a lot as well, so don't discount that guy, because especially, you know, this is the ADC that can also even match up you know, the damage output of a Misfortune. So let's see how this will go. But how about you, Excondril? What do you say about Draven in here on the hands of the Esports?
I mean, Draven's an incredibly oppressive laner if you can sort of find those engages. You know, he'll out-trade Kai'Sa like massively so in the laning phase. So you know, there's definitely the ability to just completely dominate from the laning phase onwards, and I think realistically Kai'Sa's gonna have a tough time. But the thing about Draven is if you just play it safe, you just wait for either, you know, mid lane or jungle pressure, you know, he becomes a bit of a null factor in the sort of the mid to late game. Because one of the things that the reason Draven has this passive that he does, the reason Draven gets gold on kills for his stacks, is that because the way that he sort of generates most of his damage, like the axes and where they fall dictate Draven's positioning in fights. And in general, Draven has to be aggressive in his positioning in fights. He has to be the one looking to be stepping up, landing those basic attacks, putting himself in harm's way. And so therefore, you know, he needs that gold advantage to have the item edge so that he can do that in the mid to late game team fights. If you don't let him have that gold, he actually becomes an AD carry that generally puts himself in an awkward position in team fights, doesn't have the gold to make up for it, and he become, you know, you can abuse that quite easily in team fight situations. So yeah, I think I like Draven a lot, but obviously it can be a bit risky if you can't find that kill or can't find the snowball. He is probably a subpar AD carry compared to the rest of them that we've seen today.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Garen gonna get picked again this time, I think, for today in totality. This time for the side of DR Esports. Definitely something that will be useful onto silencing proper targets like that of the Kai'Sa to stop him from, you know, going for the killer instinct maybe onto Draven. But we'll see, because CC potential, talking about CC potential, there's massive amount of that present as well, coming from Harry as well as Henry. The Gragas as well as the Alistar. But for the side of DR Esports, we can rely on that one, on the Braum. And even the Garen. So it's kind of fair. I think the draft right now is fair for both sides. What do you see, Kizo?
Yeah, I think when you've got Shyvana, clearly you're looking to have early Drake contests. You want to snowball that Drake advantage for Shyvana as quickly as possible. And a Draven Braum is going to allow you to do that really nicely in the early game. And then obviously then you have the control that the Aurelion Soul provides. So as long as this Draven Braum lane doesn't fall behind, I think you're going to have really good early control of the dragons for Shyvana, which is good because it allows the Shyvana to essentially snowball relatively quickly, and that's nice. The thing about this composition and the problem that they might have is they need to keep that snowball going. You know, if you let this get too far, you're either going to lose in a split push to a Fiora, or the Kai'Sa's going to outscale the Draven eventually. So you just need to keep that snowball going and keep that snowball rolling. Roam a lot with the Aurelion Soul, rotate a lot as a team, and take towers quickly. And I think, you know, I think DR have set themselves up really nicely.
Alright, and now we are about to load into the game anytime soon. Again, this is the round 3 match between Bigetron Infinity versus DR Esports. 1-1 score. Who's gonna go home? We don't know as of yet. Who's gonna join Liab Esports and pack their things up again? No one's gonna go home without anything, because whoever will say goodbye from this match will still take home some 10,000 wild cores. So that's still a lot.
Yeah, still, I would take 10,000 wild cores for being part of this amazing tournament, you know, at the very least. I mean, Dave, Trovo, and Wild Rift Competitive have done such a good job putting this on. You know, this is the first kind of set of you know, competitive esports that we're seeing, you know, and that's probably why, you know, you've got to be aware. I have to be aware that, you know, a lot of these teams are really seeing their first sets of competitive. So sometimes they'll make mistakes, and that's completely okay. But I like to think of myself as the, I don't know, will you get this reference? I like to think of myself as the Paul Hollywood of Wild Rift casting. I'm like the harsh critic, and that's fine. That's kind of my brand. But yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting final game. We've had some really good series so far.
Yes, you can see the match up in the bot side part of the maps. Pretty much even, but this is the Draven, like you mentioned a while ago. Okay, he needs to play aggressively, just like what he's doing right now. But yeah, they gotta be careful because the Lee Sin's already rotating down bottom part of the map. Gotta be careful on the Sonic Wave that might be connecting onto anyone. And yeah, this is them just going all in as well. Looks like, no, are they gonna be committing? No, they're not. They're just gonna be poking some of the HP bars of Team BDR and the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very early gank from the Lee Sin. I really like what he's done as well, in the sense that he's pathed the same way that that Shyvana has to contest this first River Scuttler. We might have a little brawl opening up around this first River Scuttle. Screw the first Drake, It might just be first River Scuttle.
Oh yes, indeed, they're gonna go for the Scuttler as well as the first one is already behind. Bid committed onto the Draven. Now the members of DR Esports needs to fall back a little bit, and right after that casualty, right after that first blood, them taking the vision, that Scuttler in the riverbed, and yeah, that was a nice start, but not to discount though. That was just the first blood.
What I really liked from BTR, and what I think they've done really well in this game so far, is they've tried to limit the impact of the early laning phase of the Draven, because Draven is super oppressive in the lane. Watch Henry, by the way. Absolutely beautiful. Just the flash body slam onto the Draven. Not only does that cut the stacks that he's already built, it means that he's not going to get that first kill and be able to snowball off the back of the gold that he gets. Plus, it gives the gold injection over to the Kai'Sa, who is now going to be able to be a bit more effective trading. This is a big, big difference from BTR. I'm loving the way that they're playing. They're really redeeming themselves from that previous game. The early game has been much better thought out. And, you know, forcing that brawl early on, where you can take the Draven out of his comfort zone in that lane and put him into the sort of the more risky skirmishes, especially before he has that gold advantage that he needs to work up to. That is a really nice play from BTR. Very sensible, and you know, I don't blame DR for trying to contest it either.
Oh man, the Shyvana making use of his ultimate to save his life, but here we can see more engages happening. Stick onto Kai'Sa, and them getting more targets in the middle lane, and this might be a good position into even taking down the outer turret of Team DR Esports. If not, that's fine. I mean, later on we'll be seeing a Herald right after the first Drake, and this is gonna be an easy takedown once they get that advantage.
Oh, it's beautiful from BTR, like the rotations from Falp here on the Fiora too. That engage that came through from Harry also on the Alistair just to get the double knock up to allow them to go for those kills. This is beautiful stuff. And like I said, I don't blame DR for taking that fight around the Rift Herald, the River Scuttler, where they lost it very early on. Like, it could have really been a 50-50. Like, that was a bit of a coin flip engage, right? So I'm not blaming DR for that at all. I don't think they made the incorrect decision there. But BTR have just played these fights better so far. This is a really, really solid performance from them, especially when they needed this performance too. Like, this is the last game of the series. You lose this, you're out of the tournament in its entirety. So when you need to perform, they've turned up and done so.
Everyone's in here in the riverbed trying to contest this area. Some pokes coming in from the side of BDR. Darthus is kind of low, not really getting the 100% HP bar for himself. But there's some prio in the mid as well. Edf not going to be joining, but just putting a little bit of pressure for the Gragas to stay away from the Dragon Pit in case team fights happen.
Yeah, and of course the Draven has yet to pick up any major advantages. So this is the first dragon where really a Draven would have likely had an advantage, or at least been threatening an advantage. But right now it's BTR that are in the driving seat. Big stun coming through.
Yes, indeed. Here we go. It starts coming from the Aurelion Soul as well. Dartha super low. Will need to back away a little bit, but nice set coming up from the members of BDR as well. Well, kind of a messy team fight ongoing in there. I think I just saw like 2 or 3 fights happening. There's there's no really prio FF on this one, but this is still BTR winning that fight. It was kind of messy. Maybe X-Control, you can like tell us what exactly happened on that one.
Yeah, that was a difficult one because basically the Aurelion Soul obviously came in with the engage here. So you can see the huge stun that comes through. He tries to get into the middle of the team fight, but then watch how split the DR roster gets. Like, the Draven can't get into the fight. The Alistar is zoning him away and also taking no damage, so Draven can't get any kills to kick things off. And they just essentially split the DR composition up. And when you're playing against the DR composition, especially when you've got a Fiora, you want the team fight to be split. Fiora is much better when engaging in smaller skirmishes, so like 2v2s and 3v3s, than going into a full 5v5. So splitting up this composition from Darthus, it takes away with the power of the Aurelion Soul. Aurelion Soul's not getting huge value from his stars, hitting 5 people. And obviously then allows the Fiora to be more effective at clinical at sort of finishing people off. So it was just a really effective way of dealing with the strength of this composition.
Oh
my word, they steal it with the Alistar! They stole it with the Alistar, dude.
Play in here, and here we go with more fights happening. The Aurelion Soul will fall down, so was this the Lesion as well. But overall, I can see this game or this fight leaning towards the side of BDR. Them stealing away that Rift Herald, foul pushing down bottom part of the map. Man, this is a lot of objectives onto BDR side. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, God, DR are down bad. They are down bad because that is a 4 versus 5. Fiora wasn't even in the fight and they got absolutely rolled by it as well. They're going to pick up 3 turrets and the Rift Herald. Like, this game, I mean, I think BTR have done it. Again, like I said, it would be a monumental comeback if you're down 10k gold at 7 minutes into the game to allow DR to get back in here. Not saying they can't. You have an Aurelion Soul, he scales well. You have a Shyvana, she scales well too. But it is going to be a tough ask for DR to make it back in right now. And I think BTR have played a blinder on this game. I think they've really executed the early game well. A stark contrast to how harsh I was on them last game. They really have excelled themselves in this game at just taking away the power of the Draven in the laning phase and then utilizing their advantage at the Dragon fight as well. Split that fight up excellently with the Gragas ultimate and the zoning from the Alistar. They made it so that the Aurelion Soul could not be effective in a full-on 5v5, and the Fiora was far more effective at killing those isolated players on the DR roster. It was a really excellently executed game so far from DTI, and I think Garen's just dead here.
Yeah, gonna go for the chase with a Killer Instinct. Will he get it? Fine, not. But then again, fortunately just enough backup is in here present from the side of BDR. They're gonna go for the fight. Look at the damage coming from the Gragas as well. Double kill even in here under the turret of Team DR. They're gonna get 1. The Kai'Sa will fall down, but then again, still a triple kill onto this Gragas. And again, Fiora is not even joining. My man, I mean, this is so looking good for BDR.
This is looking great for BDR. I think this is essentially game over for DR. I think they will be very likely exiting the tournament. If you're losing 4v5s this badly, again, like overextension clearly from the Kai'Sa. I think I would have done the same thing if I were her. That Garen was just 1 basic attack away from dying, so I do not blame her for going that deep. Plus, I mean, the Gragas is just dealing so much damage. You knew your team had your back if you went that deep regardless. And Look, at this point in the game, it's difficult to really like critically analyze what's going on. You have a team that has a 12,000 gold lead. You know, I could be in this game and be winning with a 12,000 gold lead. That's how far ahead BT are at this point in time. So, you know, it's difficult to critically analyze how these fights play out because really you're just looking at a team that's essentially coming to a knife fight with a chainsaw.
Yeah, and this is also BDR not even planning to give at least one Drake onto the Shyvana. I mean, Shyvana's not getting any weaker. It's just that she is not going to be able to capitalize what she can do with her passive without even taking at least one dragon. But yeah, I like the zone that is being done by Harry as well. Really nice play coming up from BDR and them just winning macro-wise and them just winning the team fights. Gragas will fall down, but then again, I can still see these chances going on to the side of BDR. But hold the thought because Shyvana in here as well has fallen down already. Lots of HP bar still on the side of DR. Is this the combat play that we're looking for? 3 members down for the side of Team BDR. The massive amounts of damage come from the stars of Edav. That Aurelion Soul pushed away the members of BTR. Oh my. Wow.
Oh, so close to Shelly taking out the top lane inhibitor turret. Yeah, I mean, that was a good fight, actually, for DR. I'm not exactly sure. I think they just overextended into the turret. Yeah, I mean, it was just an overextension into a tower dive from BTR. Like, you know, they felt that they were that far ahead. Don't blame them for being that aggressive. I think when you've got this kind of advantage, you definitely can do so. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that Nuts saved his GA, still got it available, literally by the skin of his teeth, kept that GA alive. And now we basically, Fiora can go one tap that tower in the top lane. One basic attack and Fiora can take that tower off, and we've lost an inhibitor tower. So, you know, even though that was a successful fight for DR, they're still massively behind in the game, and it's still going to be a relative struggle to get back in as a killer instinct straight onto Shyvana. She's just dead.
Oh my. Yes, gonna be dead in this one. I think Rock's gonna be having a hard time on going back as well. Sonic Wave connecting so well, killing another member from the side of Team DR, and looks like this is gonna be a 4-man wipe. Oh no, Adolf, yes, did not survive. And I think this is only DR gonna be another casualty for the side of Team DR. I mean, this is so looking good. That was an ace for BDR.
4v5 again, by the way, and Fiora not even in the fight.
By the way.
This is Fiora just doing her Fiora things in the side lane. She's going to get yet another tower, and yes, I think BTR would have to somehow throw this game off a 25-story building in order to lose. It would be a very, very, very large throw if they were going to be put out of a winning position here. I mean, again, all off the excellent early gameplay. I criticized their early gameplay previously, and I think fairly so, but they absolutely turned up with their early game. Very, very intelligent decision making to again take that power out of the Draven in the lane. And I've got to give massive credit to Henry on this Gragas. That was a beautiful early flash body slam, and he's been really just excelling in terms of damage output this game too. So yeah, they've just had an excellent game all round.
Yes, for sure. And this is now Team BDR contesting this Baron side as of the moment. But do you think what could be the hope for DR Esports in this one? Because a while ago, they were able to take advantage on the damage output that the Aurelion Soul has. Do you think that they still had the capacity to do so on this one in case an engage happens?
I mean, I always like to say that there is a chance. You know, I never like to completely count teams out because obviously stranger things have happened. But no, I really don't know. You're losing 4v5s. Like if Fiora just turned up to this fight, they're
starting the Baron, by the way. Ultimate coming out from the Brawl. They're going to be turning onto the team fight that is happening onto the jungle camp of Team DR. As of the moment, looks like they're going to be losing this anytime. The Draven has fallen down as well. Pace is still on point. And up in here, so as this Rax needs to back away. Sonic Wave will not connect, but the Smite will. But then again, no additional casualty on the side of DR Esports, but just good enough to just shove the members away. And again, Fiora still did not join that fight.
Yeah, they only get one kill though, so you know they've only picked up the kill onto the Draven here. They are low HP bars. This might be an overextension. They do pick up the 3 inhibitor towers. That's a big engage though.
Wow, Wow, what a massive amount of damage coming from the Greg has taken down a lot of members. Actually, 2 members or 3 from the side of Team DR Esports. They are left with 3 this time. They're gonna be going for a reset because we can see that Nuts is super low, so is his control. So the Lee Sin as well as the Kaisa before they even go for that Baron. They're gonna get the Vision, the Scuttler first before anything else because it's gonna be way too risky. But look at that, an open Nexus for the side of DR Esports.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, Kasaya, I have never seen a team come back from a 3 inhibitor tower down. Sorry, my dogs have just started to like bark in the background. I think the postman's probably turned up.
He agrees.
I think I've never seen a team come back from a 3 inhibitor down situation. It's so hard to come back when the super minions are spawning constantly and there's no respawn timers. The only way you ever come back from this scenario is if you get a really conclusive team fight in the late game where the death timers are really long and you just can run it down a single lane and hope that the minions don't end the game while you're doing so. So that's the only way I see this happening. But with every tower still on the map for BTR, I just don't think that's going to be the case.
Oh, no steal for Oni. Unfortunately, this is Team BDR still taking that Baron fight. We've got 2 skirmishes happening right now with the Kaisa going for the Garen and the rest of the members of Team BDR going for the 2 members, Edaf as well. Okay, Edaf, I did not see who that was, but that was the Brawl. But yeah, still going for the stars, trying to take down 1 member. Yes, the Fiora will fall down. But then again, man, look at the base. This is the base. The Nexus is already wide open. And this is Team BDR moving on to the next round in the lower bracket. Congratulations.